outside. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's great to be here amongst such beautiful beings, such amazing beams of light. And it's so magical, so amazing that to our left and to our right are others that are interested in diving deeper into what's here on Earth. Diving deeper, falling in love with not only what we see with these two eyes, but also falling in love with what's underneath that. And that's what we're going to dive into today. The value of who you are. Oh, nice.
Gotcha. You went from 1,000 people to...
I like it. Intimate. The value of a lifetime. The value of having a button that you can just hit and the reverb goes on and off. The value of this amazing food, this amazing, beautiful, blessed food that we're about to eat. The value of the reality that we're all here together, doing this work together, doing this practice together, doing this focus together. As sometimes it takes a while for it to click in, the immensity of what we're doing here. That where you are now, it has taken many lifetimes to get to the spot where you're sitting right now. Many journeys of unfolding, many journeys of purification, of decision. Nice. Reverb.
That was the light.
That's the light.
The light did that.
Yeah.
I think you could.
And also, many circumstances that led to you making the choice to come together. And so I congratulate you on being here. I congratulate you on this lifetime, which is in the middle between a beginning and an end. That you made the choice in a time span of what's like, on average, 90, maybe 100 years, human beings, we get to experience and play in this earth. For that amount of time, you made the choice to spend a few hours to come here tonight. And I think that it's a beautiful thing to tune into the value of that. Even when we all together lean into this reality of birth and death, there's a weight to it. Even to just say the word death, there's a weight to it. But it's the most realist thing that exists. It's the most exact. It's the most opportune reality to tune into. And when we put it into perspective, what is the value? What is the value of us being here right now? Right in the middle between birth and death. And choosing to come together to understand what more is going on here. More than just what is temporary, just what is fleeting. How can we play with these temporary things? How can we enjoy them? How can we experience a life of fulfillment while we're here? And who is the one experiencing all of this? Who is the one smelling, tasting? Who is the one thinking? Who is the one feeling? And so this is the journey that we have all decided to take. Some of you was like, hell yeah, I'm going to Mantra House. I'm going to take a dope and I go every week and that's the shit. Yes. You're just so into it. And some of us are like, maybe, maybe not. Let me go check it out. So we have varying degrees of how we got here and how we feel about being here. But nonetheless, the fact that you're here, whether you're aware of this or not, is the most amazing thing that ever existed, ever, in all possibilities, that you are now here. And so we want to cultivate that feeling. We want to cultivate that feeling of the immenseness, the beauty of the choice that you made right here, right now. Not only when we're doing something spiritual or we're doing something that benefits the heart, that benefits the mind or the soul, all the time. The journey to being connected to the value of your lifetime, not only here, because I'm bringing it in really intensely, because this whole space, Mantra House, is to highlight the value of who you are and the value of the choices you make. But because you yourself has chosen to experience that value again and again and again and again and again in each moment. And this is the nature of the soul. This is your original constitutional position to experience value in this way. Unending. And so how can we connect to that? We can connect to that by looking at other places of value in the world. What do we value? Like what is the most epic thing you've ever experienced in your life? Where you were like, oh wow, this is like could be you were given $1 million, or it could be you got to hang out with Puff Daddy or something. I know we're in a sacred space. You're like, no, none of that stuff. But I'm sure everyone here has a connection to this energy, this material world, in a way that you love something within it that feels like massive value to you. One more example is like every year I take a journey to Paris. Sometimes I go just for my own creative exploration. And sometimes I, as a mentor, as an artist coach, I take my clients there. And we go there to experience the art. We go there to experience the separation from our normal surroundings. And also, we go there to tune in to the massive value that's in that city. Because it's filled with tremendous amounts of artwork from the Renaissance period, and it allows you to like really tap in to what's been going on. So like you're standing in front of the Mona Lisa, and you're like, whoa, and there's like massive amounts of people just like trying to see this painting that some dude just decided to like paint one day. It's like, oh, I was gonna paint a lady. Next thing you know, it becomes this grand piece of work, and it carries this emotional content to it. So just standing in front of it, it's like, wow. This gem on earth. So what can we say? What can we say about moments where you've experienced tremendous value? What's one situation in your life? You may have gotten a degree, or you might have gotten. And when you share it, and when we hear it, because I want to ask people to share this. When you share this, see if you can feel into how you are as valuable as that. Like lean into that, just by choice. Feel into how you are as valuable as that thing. So throw something at me, anyone. Just raise a hand. And offer me some experience in your life where you have come into contact with something through the roof valuable.
Yeah. I went skydiving. Scariest thing I've ever done, and also the most rewarding thing I've ever done. You almost go from like the scariest moment from death to living life fully. So that was probably the most valuable experience.
I love that. Skydiving. So the value in experiencing that closeness to death in a way that brought you freedom. Nice. Anyone else? First off, you are that valuable as that experience you had. I'm just going to keep saying that, even if it isn't connecting yet. Even if you're already in that already, we're just going to keep turning it up. Okay.
Falling in love.
Falling in love. Yeah. Can you say more about that?
I don't know if there is one to say about it.
Okay. That simple beauty of falling in love. Falling in love with like a puppy. Falling in love with.
No, not a person. I mean, puppies work too, but another person.
With a significant other.
With a significant other.
Okay, someone that you connect to on a level of love, on a level of the heart. Yes. And you feel that value there. You're like, wow, this is amazing. This is a great experience. This is a great opportunity right now. You are that valuable. Something else? Yeah.
Yeah, I got out of school and I studied engineering, and I worked on a project, and my job was to get one fluid from one side of the factory to the other side of the factory at within like half a degree temperature at within like, I don't know, it was like 500 gallons per second or something like that. I worked on this for like 6 months and turned the whole thing on, and it worked.
Wow. Amazing.
It just worked.
Yeah. I love that. So the value in achieving that level of connection.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, the mastery of it.
Mastery. Value of mastery. Dope. Yeah. That mastery. You are that value. One more. Let's go over here.
So, sorry.
You did too.
Well, I just wanted to share, since we're talking about the mastery, I experienced a very prestigious dance group perform in a big theater, and it was the most breathtaking performance I've ever experienced. And it was actually the same style of dance that I do, so it was even more valuable to me because I got to see like the real like professionals and how it's like what I could hope to be, or just what like the top is, I guess. And it was just one of the best experiences.
Amazing.
of my life, yeah.
That value in noticing the amazing human capacity. Like as human beings,
Mastery.
in the level of mastery, what we're able to do on earth, when we put our heart and our mind into it, is an amazing reality. Thank you. You are that valuable. Yeah, one more.
Alright, so like I painted my first mural, and that was just like the best experience ever because I painted a mural and I got paid for it.
Yeah. Have your cake and eat it too. Awesome.
So yeah.
Amazing. Great. So the value of
Synergy.
creating that huge body of artwork that many people will get to see over the next few years, depending on how long it's there. And they will get that same vibe and that same energy that you put into it every time they look at it. And you got paid for it. That's epic. So we can see this value is just here. This value is just here. We're constantly running after it. We're constantly wanting to taste it. We're constantly wanting to put it on a pedestal. You know, these amazing works of art. We want to protect it and build whole museums so people can get on the line and see it again and again. And why is that? This is the easy connection. We make the connections between how we perceive the world and the truth of who we are The reason why that is because it is a reflection into who you are. It is a reflection into who we are. It is a reflection into the nature of the soul, the nature of your constitutional place, the nature of your original state of being is to experience value. Not only to see it all around you, but to feel valuable in every moment. And so even talking about it, it stirs some things up, like we're feeling it. You know, we're either feeling the capacity to lean into more value, or we're feeling our distance from it. Like, am I feeling valuable right now? Like, what is that? You know? What is that connection? You know? Thus, this is the reason why Mantra House, this gathering, is so valuable, so potent, so important. And the fact that you are here is so amazing because you are touching on the thing, on the practice, on the connection that cleans out any block between you and that experience of value, that experience of constant experience of the epicness of who you are by your very nature. I have a song for you guys.
Yes.
I'm just gonna play like the full version. Usually I have like an instrumental and I have it on my buttons and on a huge stage and big subwoofers and we're all rocking out. But we're gonna play this. And so just pretend that you're on a big stage. You know,
We can put the reverb back on.
put the reverb on, flicker the lights a little bit. I don't know, no reason. But just make sure the level is whenever.
Yeah.
So this track is called Little Warrior. It was from an album that I put out about 4 years ago. And something really magical came through for me. Something that was potent when I wrote it, but then it became something so much more, like much later on. I didn't even know what was there. So this one is called Little Warrior. I'm going to say the chorus really quickly. Oh, my little warrior, do you want to rise up? If you have forgotten, here is a reminder. So if you feel like singing it. And this is hip hop, so you can put your hip hop mood on for a little bit. Do that head bob that comes out so nicely. Oh, my little warrior, do you want to rise up? If you have forgotten, here is a reminder. The cries of a guy hurting from inside. He's illest with his gifts, but in his mind confined. The sky's the limit, but he couldn't find the time. Inspiration arise, he moved it to one side. He had things to defend, property to divide, friends to depend on, and enemies to divide. Didn't think that it would end, so it just seemed to multiply. How could he break free from habitual states of mind? Trying to move forward, constantly in rewind. He felt the rat race and he let out a cry. Oh, I can't do it. No, it's not doing. I've lost all composure, feeling so weak in my movement. Resistance is useless, I surrender. Just at that moment, the sky opened, the sun entered. Yes, the heat rose heavy on a cold winter. He heard these words spoken from deep in. Oh, my little warrior, do you want to rise up? If you have forgotten, here is a reminder. Oh, my little warrior, do you want to rise up? If you have forgotten, here is a reminder. Open up the gates, let the river flow from the root chakra up as it unfolds, changing outside to your internals as the third eye opens, energy feels glow. Check if the words differ from the visuals. These
presentations, is it all show or a sacred science that I'm riding on?
See the symptoms of home peek through the window. Feel the wind blow, leaving you still. Everything is everything, keeping me still.
Some be insane.
Do they know the deal? Do you know you're the soul, not the automobile? Do you know? See, I don't know if they know that. So, shine your light bright and stay on sight. You know, if they have any questions, feel free to tell them. Oh, my little warrior, do you want to rise up? Rise up. If you have forgotten. Let me see your hands like this. Let's just get into it a little bit. Oh, my little warrior, yes. Do you want to rise up? Yes. If you have forgotten, right. Here is a reminder. Oh, oh, my little warrior. Yeah. Nice, we're going live in effect. Yeah, you guys got into it. I think I'm losing this mic, possibly. Maybe I'll switch. Try this one.
You got to turn up from the bottom too.
Check. Yes. So that is how I bring value to the stages, to the festivals, to the parties. Just one of the many tracks. And that verse, just check out the translation. The cries of a guy hurting from inside. He's illest with his gifts, but in his mind confined. The sky's the limit, but he couldn't find the time. Inspiration arised, he moved it to one side. He had things to defend, property to divide, friends to depend on and enemies to defy. Didn't think that it would end, so it just seemed to multiply. How could he break free from habitual states of mind? Trying to move forward, constantly in rewind, he felt the rat race and he let out a cry. Oh, I can't do it. No, it's not fluid. I've lost all composure, feeling so weak in my movements. Resistance is useless. I surrender. Just at that moment, the sky opened, the sun entered. Yes, the heat rose heavy on a cold winter. He heard these words spoken from deep in his center. Oh, my little warrior, do you want to rise up? If you have forgotten, here is a reminder. Oh, my little warrior, do you want to rise up? If you have forgotten, here is a reminder. So this song I wrote like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6. And when I wrote it, it was because I was upset with someone who I used to perform with. There's a band member, you know this person. Yeah. There's a special band member that amazing, the talent that this person had was just through the roof, you know, and what was possible for us to do as a group was way beyond the value level, was very high. And for some reason, just didn't work out with him. Well, not for some reason, I know the reasons. Possibly just don't want to share all the reasons. But it felt like he just didn't want to take it to the next level. He just didn't want to, rise to the stages that we were being asked to perform on. He didn't want to, every venue or gig that we was with the owners, with the gigs, with the managers, with the other artists, I was like, what's up with that? Why are you freaking out and having this experience? So I was like, I'm gonna write this song about you. And it wasn't until maybe like 5 years later or so that I realized that actually I wrote those lyrics for myself. Which was just like last year or something. It's like, yes. I wrote this. He inspired it, but really it was for me, That journey of how can I get beyond all these things that are keeping me from actually living my highest purpose, living my truth, giving my love to everyone that I see in front of me, diving deeper into Krishna? What are all these things that are keeping me from that? And so, from this song, we reflect on the reality that one of the things that jumped out was that there's this small voice in the background. Small voice, way, way, way in the back. And it has an idea that something's broken. Something's broken. Something's broken. This is broken. That's broken. And it's just going on in the background. We call this more popularly known as, some say childhood wounds. These things that we learn to protect ourselves, that we kind of keep, and now we're in the process of clearing it out. Also known as the subconscious. This is where these things are stirred. Subconscious meaning like they're underneath the radar. They're not fully conscious. You're not fully aware of it, but it's happening underneath. Was 8 my stop point? Just checking in. Usually. Yeah. Okay, cool. 5 minutes or so. And this feature of brokenness that just plays in the background is the special feature of why being here is so valuable. Because what we're doing here is cleaning out the bottom of the bucket. Anything that's down there, cleaning it out. Every time we say this mantra, the mind is purified, the heart is purified, the actions are purified. Because we see so many things in this world, so many amazing things, and we have this idea that we can measure ourselves to the value of this thing. But before the physical manifestation, there is the actions that you take. And before the actions that you take, even more valuable than that are the feelings that you feel. And even more valuable than that are the thoughts that you think. And so we're going right deep to the core of value. Like before the actual physical manifestation of things come in. The most valuable part of this is what you think about this plant, what you think about this light, what you think about the reality of why you're here in this space. How do you feel about it? And what we get to do here is some of the most greatest work is we get to come together and we get to connect to a massively powerful vibration, this mantra, this Sanskrit vibration that not only when we say it, when we sing it, when we bring our love to it, we get to focus our mind back into the center. We get to focus our mind to the mantra, which brings to the surface those broken parts that are just playing in the background, and it brings massive purification to that. It eradicates it completely. And so, this is the potent value of why we are here. Because you are, by nature, the most valuable thing. They say there's even some science here that the soul is so tiny, it's very small, And even in that sense of the tiniest thing compared to this material world, the tiniest thing, just one little piece of that energy is 1,000,000 times greater than this material world. So to kind of take not only the humble journey to knowing more about yourself, but to also take the importance of you are the shit just by your very nature. That was how you were designed. And as soon as we start taking that, imbibing that, and acting like that, and feeling that, as soon as we start thinking from that space, as soon as we start feeling from that space, our actions begin to change. Our actions become valuable. And as soon as our actions become valuable, what we manifest in this world is colossal. So I'm going to leave it there. So excited to say so much more things, but I love this little unique time frame to connect so that we can just go right into the value of the mantra. And so this little taste of nugget for you guys. To not only choose the feeling of the value that you have and the value that this space has, but to also know that every time you say this mantra, not only is your heart fully awakened, bloomed, open, but every other heart that comes into contact with you experiences the same thing. And this is what we want to do. This is the journey. This is the mission. On one end, you can build amazing things. You can move around a lot of pieces. That's beautiful too, how we show up in the world and how we do service and how we go to the protests and we really bring our voice to the world. But even before that, there's something tremendous. And that's the purification of the heart and how you show up as an awakened being here on the earth to simply just be in the space. If many of you know, when you sit next to someone that's very awake, very potent, very alive in their practice, you just feel good just being around that person because the vibe, the mood, the aura is just on fire. And so that is what all of us, that's what all of us, what we're being called to surrender to that, to take that fully, so that we can not only be that shining light for the world, but we can come together at gatherings like this, and then it's like multiplied by 1 billion. And we overflow this love into the whole universe. I'm going to end there.